Zack DeLisa, welcome to the podcast. Thrilled to have you here today. Thanks for being a part of it.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me.
So for everyone listening, watching, Zack DeLisa is a CFO advisor with Level 10 CFO, and he helps companies create value by professionalizing their financial practices. And you and I, Zack, we were talking about, we talk a lot about some really exciting stuff about, digital transformation and really improving companies. And then we happen upon this thing that's sort of a dirty secret that a lot of companies have, which is month end, regardless of company size, sophistication, et cetera, is often a mess and a disaster. So
Yeah.
I thought maybe we talk a little bit about, let's hear about the work you do, how you help people, who you help, and then let's get into what, when you see bad month ends, what do they look like?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, as you said, I'm a CFO advisor for Level 10 CFO, and essentially we're a fractional CFO firm. But at the end of the day, we're a full stack accounting solution for we call it the well-funded startup up to companies upwards of 20 to $25 million. And really we can, we're CFOs first, but we have support and staff to really take on the entire finance function for our clients.
That's great. And so in doing that kind of work, month end is something we all know we have to do.
Yeah.
It's funny, when you and I were talking about it, I was laughing because we spend a lot of time automating things for clients, for ourselves, all this stuff, but our month end is a couple hour, 3 hour process between a few different people, spreadsheets, all the stuff that we say we would fix if it were our thing to do. What does that look like when you encounter that sort of virtual shoebox of receipts and all that kind of stuff?
Well, yeah. I like to say, kind of no matter, and you kind of hit it on it, but, no matter what industry you're in, month end close always seems to be the most inefficient process in the company. And I think there's a couple of reasons for that. I think in smaller companies, it's a combination of, capabilities and incentives. So you have kind of, maybe lower level staff that, don't have the capabilities of understanding the system, understanding why things are happening, and really are just kind of doing it because that's the way they've always done it. And then I also think there's an incentive mismatch with, the typical full-time bookkeeper, accounting manager is, they take out too much of their job, then, they're left with nothing to do. And so I think there's kind of a disincentive, whereas a firm like ours, our incentive is to continually be driving value for the customer and, kind of do that, at our own cost, keeping that under control. And so we are incented to continually drive efficiencies in that process. So some of the things we've seen, I think it's a typical story. I mean, I think there's a couple of things that go wrong with close. I'd say number one, it's left to the end of the month. So, in manufacturing, lean is, I'm kind of a student of lean manufacturing. One of the central tenets is single piece flow and doing a little bit along the way, and then everything happens. And, you never do batch processing. And so month end close, just at the start, it's a batch process. So you've saved up all your crap from the entire month. And then there's this whole flurry of activity and you're trying to, do this work and get it done in a short amount of time. So I think that's number one. And then I think, people don't leverage, the systems that they have to drive efficiency. So, and, in systems, I'm not talking, big ERP. I'm just, a lot of times Excel is, your greatest tool. Everyone knows Excel, everyone uses it, but I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a company, people are putting data into Excel and then they're manually going and filtering out all the different criteria, using a manual data filter where, if you put a pivot table on it, you can get to that same information and that same granularity in, a fraction of the time. And so, you just kind of see this. They don't have that mentality of, driving the efficiency and doing it quicker, better, faster. So,
yeah. And so, I'm really curious about a couple of things you said, especially around this idea that if I'm not incentivized to automate my job, do it faster, I might just sit on the process we've always done. Is there are there other higher value things that those people could or should be doing were it automated? Is that something that you ever talk about with clients?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I think, the other flaw in month end close is that everyone's just accepted that, financial results are going to come out 10 days after the end of the month. Like, a lot of times by the time you're getting financial results, like, it's too late to pivot for even the next month. And so now
Right.
you're constantly chasing. So, I mean, the number one value of, shortening that close cycle or even bringing it, forward into the current month is that you get better visibility in your financial numbers, and so I think those same resources, if they're, kind of closing every day or, driving more efficient processes, they can spend their time on analysis,
Yeah.
and actually giving insights back to the business in a more timely manner, in a way that in a in a time frame that the business can pivot and adjust and actually affect the results.
Sure. And so, there's a spectrum. There's, from 0 to 10, from not doing anything to ninja level. I love this idea of like thinking about it like a single piece flow. If an organization is operating really well, maybe an 8 or 9 out of 10 with this sort of updated data, how much of a lag do you think you could achieve without uh, breaking too much of a sweat? Is it a day? Is it same day, a few days, a week? Or what do you think you could achieve to be reasonable?
Um, kind of some of the world class organizations that, worked for, like GE Healthcare, Medtronic. I mean, we were held, pretty tightly to a 2-day close. Now everything worked really well. There was, full end to end CRM, ERPs kind of functioning, but I don't think that's unattainable in a small business with the right systems. Now, I think probably a 5-day close is probably reasonable, acceptable. I think, again, it's to shorten that timeline, and you're still doing the work, but I think it's pulling the work into the current month. So, bank reconciliation is a classic batch process. You're waiting till the end of the month, and then you reconcile your bank account at the end of the month. And oh, by the way, you have a reconciling item from the first, and you're like, oh crap, now it's going to take me a half an hour to go find that item. There's a couple tools available. So one of our, standard platforms we recommend for everybody is QuickBooks Online. So in QuickBooks Online, you can turn on your bank feed and you can actually link your ledger with your bank. So those transactions are coming in daily. And if you monitor that queue daily and book those transactions daily, you've essentially created a daily bank rec. Now, instead
Yeah.
of looking at 30 days worth of transactions, you're looking at one. Yes, you're doing that work every day, but it's a fraction of the time, even if you add up all 30 days, it's a fraction of the time that you're going to spend reconciling at the end of the month. So it's, bank recs are easy, but I think it's, really getting all of the processes pulled forward into the current period, spending an hour to 2 hours a day, kind of closing every day. And then
Yeah.
at the end of the month, you've got 3 or 4 kind of major journal entries that you need to do to book deferred revenue, some maybe big accruals, but you can lock things down, pretty quickly.
So how about this? So based on your experience, in your travels, do you have a story about what's life like for, that the perfect fit manufacturer you were talking about, where they have a 5-day close? What do they start doing differently? What could they get excited about?
Yeah, so I mean, I think again, I hinted on it earlier, but you start getting results earlier. Again, the best systems I've seen are, you have pseudo close every day. So you kind of have a good accurate picture of what your results are today. Then you have some mix of forecasting of like what's left for the end of the month. So we've got our, what we've booked, and then we've got our to go. And then, feeding that information back to the business of saying, okay, we're not going to hit, as of right now, we're not going to hit our targets. And here's the 2 or 3 reasons why. So then you as the business leader can actually pull the levers in time to make an impact. So that's really, so it's even the final numbers of day 5 are already past your time of being able to adjust
Yeah.
trajectory.
All right. So let's say I'm really excited about that. what are the kinds of steps, or what are the things I look at to go from where we are now with our shoebox and Excel and all the other stuff
Yes.
to a point where we can do a 5-day close? What are the things that maybe time frame? What can I expect?
So number one is systems. I mean, you really do have to get financial systems in place to eliminate data entry. So if you're still manually recording bank transactions, we got to get a bank feed turned on so that you're just matching transactions and those are coming in smoothly. If you're manually entering AP, you're just wasting money when there's tools like bill.com that essentially automate that entire function. So it automates the function, it saves time, but it also is a live sync to your ledger. So that as soon as you code that AP, it's in your books and it's recorded. And so really systems. And then, another system that we recommend for everyone is called Expensify. And that's for automating your literal shoebox of receipts with credit cards. So now there's a couple things that like an Expensify done. One, it improves your controls because you can actually see what people are spending and put limits and kick out exceptions. And it spreads the work. So now you don't have a centralized clerk that's coding all of those receipts. You've dispersed the work and it happens much quicker and more efficiently, and kind of puts to work with the people doing coding the expenses. And so then all of that information is coming in a near real-time fashion.
Yeah.
You can get those pieces in place, like you're 80% of the way there.
Yeah. Why do you think, in your experience, that this is one of those things that does get neglected? It's sort of like the unglamorous part of all the other stuff that you might be able to do in your financial systems. Why is this one left for last, do you think?
I don't know. It's just kind of, literally it's a collective, the way things are. Like, again, businesses have just come to expect, that it takes that long to get results. And I think a bigger public company that I'm working for, they don't have those luxury. They don't have those luxuries because they got to report to shareholders. They got, a lot of information that they got to compile, and small businesses just kind of accepted that. And so I think, one of the things we do with new clients is we try and set expectations around, we're going to continually give you data earlier. And so we kind of lay that expectation and hold ourselves accountable to that.
Yeah. Hey, well, listen, this has been great. Super informative. I feel like I learned a couple of things, which is always good. Also, I got some on my list. We don't use Expensify. I might go sign up for that. We're not sponsored by them, but maybe they could be. Feel free to send us cash. And if anyone wants to get in touch with us about those, I'm sure I'll put some links down below for later. So Zach, thanks for joining me today. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey there, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to hear more content just like that.